Today's golf lesson is playing from uneven or sloping lies. Very challenging to make good contact and to control where the golf ball goes when the ground's not flat. Now, a lot of people struggle with this because I believe that most coaching is, I wouldn't say wrong, but just incomplete, especially when it comes to uphill lies and when the ball is below your feet. So we'd be really interested to hear your comments on how you feel the ball is affected from these two lies. As always, we have our free download for you. The link is in the description below on all of the notes and images from today's lesson. G'day golfers, I'm Glen Haynes. Welcome to Aussie Golf Pros, where we help you be the best golfer you can be. Let's begin with the ball above feet lie, and this is pretty easy to understand using this magnetic device. It's telescopic, so we're going to stick that onto my sand wedge there, and quite simply, if the ball is above your feet like it is here for me, as we move up, the steeper the slope, what we can see here is that that magnetic device, the telescopic section, is starting to point more and more behind me. So I haven't turned the club face closed, but essentially that's what's happening as I move the club up. So the steeper the slope, the more to the right a right-hander is going to have to aim. And that's exaggerated because of the amount of loft on my sand wedge here. So it's a lot of loft, so the more up the slope you are, the more behind you you're going to hit the golf ball. So it's not going to have as much effect with a 5-iron or a 3-wood, but it's still going to close the club face effectively without you being able to see it. So I'm not twisting the face. The club face looks square to the target to me, but you can see here clearly because of all the loft, it's pointing the club face well left. So the first bit of advice is don't try to hit a full powered shot here. With any of these uneven lies, you're probably going to lose a bit of power. Your balance is compromised, but clearly we don't want to use too much loft with this shot anyway. So I've got a shot here of 110 yards, 100 meters. Yes, I could hit my gap wedge that distance, but I've gone down to a pitching wedge to reduce the amount of that effect of the slope. And you've got a couple of options when the ball's above you. You can either, because the ball's closer to me, so I could either come down the grip a little bit to make it feel more even, and I'll do that with the longer clubs, like a 3-wood or a 3-iron. I'll come down the grip a little bit. But for a wedge, I don't really like to do that. It affects the lie angle, contact can be compromised. So instead of coming down the grip here, which is obviously going to lose you a bit of distance as well, I'm just going to stand a bit further away. And that's what I like to do with the lofted clubs, just a little bit further away from the golf ball. Now that's obviously going to cause the swing plane to be a little bit more around me, a little flatter, which also promotes a draw. And for this shot of 110 yards with a pitching wedge, I'm going to aim at about 10 paces right of the target, expecting the slope to draw the ball onto the flag for me. Let's see how I go. So a little right of target, a little bit further away from the golf ball, and in she comes. A little bit of draw on it, maybe didn't quite draw as much as I expected it to, but I would put that down more to human error rather than the slope. This ball above feet lie, in my experience, definitely increases the amount of draw that someone that's drawing would hit. Or if you're a fader of the golf ball, then you can expect a lot straighter shot from this sort of lie. Not many golfers like this one, the downhill lie. It's very challenging to get good contact, and of course we expect the ball to go lower, so the mistake that a lot of golfers make is trying to help it up in the air. And if you do that, if you're trying to scoop it or coming back onto your back foot here, clearly you're going to miss-hit it. You're either going to hit the grass well before the ball or miss the grass altogether and just top or thin the shot. Now this is one shot that actually might go a little bit further than you expect. If you're using a lofted club like a wedge or a 9-iron, because we're hitting the ball down lower, then you can expect the ball to go a little further, maybe skip on a little bit rather than the normal wedge or 9-iron will stop very quickly. But this is a second shot on a par 5. If you try to hit a 3-wood or a 4-iron from here, you're going to lose distance because you're going to hit it too low. It's going to go into the ground. There's a bank in front of me. Just going to hit that and you won't get anywhere near the distance that you're hoping for. So it's important to be realistic and choose a club that you know that you can still get airborne for maximum advancement. We want maximum distance here to get it up nearer the green so we can still have a crack at our birdie on a par 5. So I've just got a 6-iron here. Being realistic, knowing that this 6-iron is going to go very low, it's going to go more like a 3-iron, and then it can run a little bit and still get some decent distance. Anything lower than that and it's going to be a struggle. So technically what we're going to do here is we're going to have the ball a little bit more in the middle of the stance and a little bit more weight forward. That helps us to make good contact. And we might even step forward here. We've got to make sure that we're moving down the slope and your shoulders are going to be more level rather than tilted backwards, so that we can follow the slope downwards, expect a low shot, but we've got to try and make good contact. Directionally, I'm not expecting too much change here because there's no side slope. Obviously it's going to go lower. Some people will fade or cut it a little bit more because they're more ahead of it. So I definitely don't expect too much of a draw off this downhill lie. A little fade maybe, but I doubt it's going to draw. All right, let's see how we go with this 6-iron. Ball in the middle, bit of weight forward, shoulders down that way a little bit more. And that has gone only around 20 feet in the air. Now it's running along, had a hint of fade on it, made sure I got good contact, and we're in play, and we've still got a chance of a birdie. So an uphill lie, we expect the golf ball to go higher, and therefore we're going to lose distance, so go up a club. Or if it's a steep uphill lie, go up 2 clubs. You're definitely going to lose some power here. And the ball is going to spin more. That's really key. It's not going to roll forward. It's going to climb up into the air. If you're into the wind, it's really going to stall and it's not going to roll very far. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can play this. The standard method that you're going to see on YouTube is that you tilt your spine back this way so it matches the slope. Makes absolute sense. We're going to sweep along the shot, along the ground here so that we're not digging down in. And obviously, by getting more behind the golf ball, the ball is going to go even higher. So this is going to suit longer shots. If you're hitting a 4-iron, 3-wood, it makes absolute sense to tilt back here a little bit. You might have a bit of weight on your back foot. And it's pretty challenging to try to get onto your front foot because of that hill. So what we see a lot of the elite players do is actually step out of the way. You'll see this lead foot slide out of the way so that they can actually turn through. So that's fine for the longer shots. But here I have a shot of 85 yards, which is normally a sand wedge, but I've gone up to gap wedge because it's not going to go as far. Now, if I tilt back this way, my gap wedge is going to go soaring into the sky. That's too high to control, in my opinion. And with us getting back behind it, we expect maybe a little bit of draw, but let's focus on just controlling that flight a little bit more. So instead of getting back here, I'm just going to leave my shoulders at the normal position. So I am going to compress it. I'm going to take a fairly large divot here because I'm not tilting back here and matching the slope. So I only suggest this for the short irons. If you're hitting a wedge or a 9-iron, something like that, just so we can control that flight and not get it super, super high in the air. Ball position, again, just ahead of center. It's an uphill lie. It's different to that downhill where we had it sort of more middle. And I expect a hint of draw, but I'm not tilting way back here. So it's a more normal ball flight. We've got a little draw there and we're just short of the pin. So I've definitely lost some distance there. I could have even gone up to pitching wedge and hit a 3/4 shot just to control that ball flight even more. But you see here a deeper divot. I compressed it. Now you really have to make sure you're hitting the ball first with this technique, of course, but in my opinion, for your shorter wedges, your shorter shots, that's going to make more sense rather than being back here. And of course, I need to repair that divot. See here the spin I got because I was on that upslope. I could definitely gone with a little bit of extra club to get it up to the pin and allowing it to spin back. Lesson learned. So with the shot when the ball is below your feet, this is where a lot of coaches don't really tell you the whole picture. So when the ball was above my feet, then obviously we were expecting the club face to be a little closed and the shot to go left. So that means when the ball is below your feet, it's going to go to the right for a right-hander. So let's set up. My gizmo is not pointing to the right though. In order to make it go to the right, I would really need to lift my hands up here and set up this way. Who does that? No one. So the effect of the ball below our feet is definitely different to when the ball is above your feet. Don't expect this big slice off of this lie. Maybe a fraction, but very, very little. But in fact, a lot of golfers will hit this shot left. Yes, that's right, they won't hit it right, they'll hit it left. Why? Because as they come through with the ball being below their feet, they lose balance. The swing is off to the left-hand side, out to in for a right-hander, and they pull it to the left. So if you find yourself out on the golf course and the ball's below your feet and you aim off to the left-hand side, expecting it to fade and then hit it there, you're probably surprised. I'm not. But if you haven't really thought about this and how the swing path can change and how really you're not setting up like this, it's just a little different to the way we approach the ball above feet lie. So it really does depend on the individual, and I do encourage you to do a bit of experimentation with this. Some players are going to fade it a little bit more if the club face is, a little open. But if you're a player who tends to come across and maybe closes the face quite well or loses balance this way, expect it to go left. For me, personally, I pretty much just ignore it. I'm just going to hit a pretty straight shot here. I'm going to keep my balance through the shot. I'm not going to allow myself to fall this way, and I'm not going to allow for any big fade because I'm going to set up with the club in a comfortable position. I am going to bend the knees a little bit and bend forward a little bit. Make sure that I'm lower to make good contact. And that's pretty much the only thing that I'm going to allow for. But you really do need to experiment with this. Everybody's different. Some players are going to hit this shot left and some might fade it a little bit more, but it wouldn't be a lot. All right, I've got 7 irons, 155 yards, I think it was. Let's see if I can get one on the green there. Caught it a little heavy, but I made sure I stayed lower. I got it onto the green and it went pretty straight. It's so key to approach playing from these lies as challenges rather than lamenting your misfortune. After all, valleys and hills and undulations are what add charm and character to a golf course. Now, we mentioned the importance of making good contact ball striking, and that's not just about setup and technique, that's also about developing skill. So watch this video next. That's really going to help you to enhance your ball striking from any lie. There's your free training guide. The link is also in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to your company next week. Are you the best golfer you can be?